Hello and good evening. Welcome to Queer News Tonight. This is the world's first and only LGBTQ plus daily evening television news broadcasting live and available on demand. Available on all smart televisions, including Roku, Apple TV, Android TV, Amazon Fire TV, Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook. It's time to queer up the news. It's Monday, November 20th, 2023, and today we remember the members of our transgender community we have lost, as today is Transgender Day of Remembrance. We are live and literally out of the closet and into the headlines. So many of your important stories we're going to tell this evening on Queer News Tonight.
This is the world's first live daily LGBTQ evening news show, literally out of the closet and into the headlines on Queer News Tonight with Al Ferguson.
Hi all, I'm your anchor at Queer News Tonight, Fay What? And this evening we bring you the news of and perspective representing the LGBTQ plus community from South Florida, America, and across our planet.
This is the world's first and only unedited live LGBTQ plus evening news show. Whatever happens unique in the LGBTQ plus news, you will see it and hear it here.
Hotspots Magazine, Happening Out Television Network, is a nonprofit 501c3 media company in the same model of PBS and NPR, but designed for the LGBTQ plus community. Our mission is to support the 10 pillars of our LGBTQ plus community. We want to inform and educate the key issues of Black community, Latino, lesbian, and queer women, trans students and youth, seniors, HIV/AIDS, healthcare, business, social justice, and faith. Help us support our community.
We are part of one of the largest LGBTQ plus media companies in America, Hotspots Magazine and Happening Out Television Network.
Our magazine is celebrating 39 years of the LGBTQ plus experience, and our television news, talk, and entertainment shows support our mission to educate the LGBTQ plus and broader community.
Yes, so let's begin by introducing to you our anchors, our incredible anchors. Let's begin with Dr. Edward Summers. He's the Executive Director of Pride Lines, Miami's LGBTQ Community Center. Dr. Summers previously served as a primary therapist and program director at Eye Care Treatment Center in West Palm Beach, and primary therapist also at United Recovery Project in Lake Worth, Florida. Dr. Summers was also the founder and CEO of a New York-based nonprofit, the Thinkubator, Inc. Welcome back, Dr. Summers, and I know that you and me are tired as hell from Smart Ride, right?
We are. It was a long, long weekend. It was a great weekend. Of course, I'm part of Pride Lines, one of the beneficiary agencies, and the week before we were down there planning, and you know, prior to me, my predecessor, Victor, was planning for a whole year with the other beneficiary agencies. So it's been a year in the making. It was the 20th and final Smart Ride, but a very exciting one, very emotional. I loved it for the first time, but the 6 beneficiary agencies, we plan on trying to do something in the future. So stay tuned. We don't know what, but we definitely plan on doing something in the future, but very tired.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, I met you as Ed, so I'm going to call you Ed. I'm not calling you Dr. Summers unless you become my gynecologist and I didn't know about it.
Nah.
So you will be Ed to me no matter what, and we've got more to talk about on the Smart Ride coming up, so stay tuned for that, all right? Next up, let's welcome anchor and my sister from another Mr., Miss Rajee Narine-Singh. She's a famous transgender activist, actress, author, mystic, and reality TV superstar, I think. She is of multiracial descent and has appeared on more than 35 television shows across the world. Welcome back, Miss Rajee. How are you, baby?
I'm back. It's great to be here, and especially on a day like today.
Yes, ma'am.
You know, so I feel so honored to be representing my community here at the show today.
And you do it so well.
Nobody does it better.
Nobody does it like you. No, nobody does it as well as you either.
Y'all are going to make me start blushing.
We love you, Mama. Next up, let's welcome anchor Dino Mosquera. He joined the Miami Gay and Lesbian Film Festival in the late 90s when I was just 1. And now serves on the Outshines Film Festival's board of directors. Welcome, Dino, and congratulations again on a great Outshine. I know that I just got back from being away for 18, 19 days, so I wasn't able to tell you that then. what an incredible outshine this year. I mean, every year, but you guys, man, hit it out of the park this year for sure.
No, thank you. And thank you everybody that came to Fort Lauderdale to our festival. We're already starting to watch films for the Miami one in April. So stay tuned. So we already have dates for April. So just in Miami. So now it's time for the people in Broward to come down to Miami to see our festival.
Right.
Yes, for sure.
And nice t-shirt, by the way, you guys to show that.
Oh my God, yes, look at my shirt. I should have told you when Rajee was talking about that. So my shirt says, I support trans rights because I'm not an idiot.
Hello. That's why I love you so much.
I mean, you know, simple words, but it's the truth, right? All right, finally, and definitely not least, let's welcome my brother, my family. His name is Dale Stine. He's a celebrated photographer in the LGBTQ plus community. He's the director of music ministry at the famous Unity on the Bay and a moderator of Miami Gay List, South Florida's largest LGBTQ plus Facebook group, which can also be found on IG now as Queer List Official. Welcome back, Dale. ¿Cómo está?
Todo bien. I'm happy to be here with all these amazing people and to hear all these amazing things going on. I was following you all via social media on the Smart Ride, you in the car.
You like that? Did you notice it was great when people started like posting on it and saying, wow, Fay, I'm so proud of you. I can't believe you rode all the way down.
I mean, like, do people really believe that?
Exactly. So I sent a Dale message. Dale, no me conocen para nada. Like, of course, that person had no idea because my friends know.
I was actually doing the smartest ride of all.
We'll talk more about that coming up. So we are the reporters for Queer News Tonight. And this evening, we begin with the queer headlines. The LGBTQ plus community in South Florida and across America, well, we're diverse. Our community across the world is vast. And here are the bullet points of the queer news for today, Monday, November 20th, 2023. Let's begin by queering up trans rights. Queer News Tonight honors Transgender Awareness Week and the Transgender Day of Remembrance. On Transgender Day of Remembrance, the world pauses to remember the lives of the many transgender, non-binary, and gender non-conforming persons killed in acts of targeted transphobic violence. On every continent, transgender, non-binary, and gender non-conforming persons confront violence, harassment, and discrimination that shock the conscience simply based on their gender identity or expression. We at Queer News Tonight mourn the transgender, non-binary, and gender non-conforming persons who have paid the ultimate price for others' hatred. The week of November 13th through the 19th is Transgender Awareness Week, leading up to Transgender Day of Remembrance, or TDOR. After 3 transgender women of color, Rita Hester, Chanel Pickett, and Monique Thomas, were murdered in the Boston area of Massachusetts in 1998, the local community wanted a way to honor them. They chose November 20th, 1999, the anniversary of the death of Chanel Pickett, as the first Transgender Day of Remembrance. What do you folks think about that? What a powerful day, an important day. I mean, we have lost so many black and brown. I'm speaking for our sisters that we've lost, okay? I know that we've lost so many different people, but like, you know, it's, we started losing people come the second week of January. We're already talking about 3 black and brown women that we had lost locally.
Definitely.
You know, which is why a day like today, when we say the names, you know, a bunch of us are going over to the Pride Center after this. Me and Rajee are going. Dale, I'm dragging Dale with me. And, you know, and that's when we, you know, Trans Social is there. Trans Inclusive is there. All the organizations, Ariana Center, or the centers that take care of our trans community are there today. And they want you to be informed, to be educated, but to not forget the people that we have lost.
Yes, exactly.
Ms.
And
Rajee.
you know, I tell you, like, every time we lose someone, first of all, I think to myself, my God, that could be me, you know, because I'm a transgender woman of color. And we, unfortunately, are ones that seem to be targeted the most. When I go, though, to the TDOR ceremony, I remind myself that I now stand on these sisters and brothers that have passed away, their shoulders. And they did not die in vain. They died because they stood up for their authentic truth. They were living their truth. And so that is not in vain, you know. And so I remind myself, unfortunately, you know, they lost their life to do it. But we that are still left here, it is our responsibility to, you know, remind ourselves we stand on their shoulders and to continue the good fight, the good fight for equality and equity.
It's pretty powerful. And I have a colleague that I worked with in treatment who is a trans man, and he always said that he was born a female, trans male now. Said that he always felt like a male, never felt like a female. And when he sees people like yourself, Rajee, and others, he really looks up to you and really inspires him. He's actually going through the surgeries in December, and I'm going to visit him in Texas.
Oh, wonderful!
Because I want to support him.
Yeah.
I want to be there. He is my brother. I love him. Every time I see him, I'm like, "What's up, bro?" Like, you know. And I'm so excited for him. And he feels like this surgery is going to be the final point, a process of making him authentically who he is.
Yes.
Yeah. But he always talks about those that we've lost, and that the fact that he is afraid at times to go through this process.
Wow.
But he's just my inspiration, quite frankly. And you know, I'm almost in tears here because of the people that we did lose, and we can't forget them. We can't let it go in vain. But we have to remember that they set the way for people like my friend and my colleague who is actually going and doing the surgery, and he's going to be his authentic self. And I'm so proud of him.
Wonderful.
I love him. I don't see him no different. He's just like me.
Yeah.
Yeah, and, you know, it's so, this is why Transgender Awareness Week is so important. Because it's important to us every day. But we see what's going on in this country and around the world. How trans people are being targeted in politics, minute by minute, day by day. And so we must stand strong in our broader community. We must keep capitalizing to the max, the T in the LGBTQ plus.
Dino, how does this resonate on you, puppy?
You know, I was just thinking last year when we had the film festival in Miami and we showed Kokomo City. Did you guys see that?
I did. I attended it. It was excellent.
Amazing.
Excellent.
And then right before we showed the film, one of those poor girls
was murdered.
They were murdered in Atlanta.
Yeah.
So it was so sad, you know. And
but what did you guys do? Okay, and now Shine, you decided to do. Okay, I'm going to do a film. I'm going to incorporate the organizations that do for transgender community, and that was how you do it. You know, I get asked all the time. You know, I've been asked if I was transgender a couple times, which I consider a huge compliment. Okay, first of all. Second of all, I've been asked like, what can you do? What can you do for the transgender community, right? And I go, I don't have the answer to you. You go to Tatiana Williams. You go to Adriana Tender. You go to Rajee Narine-Singh. You go to these people and you ask them what you can do, because that's what I do. I go and I call and I'll go, hey, Tatiana, what can I do?
Yeah.
She goes, show up. Okay. Yeah. Or I'll call Adriana and I go, Adriana, can I help with this event? You know, can I bring water or whatever? Come and bring people that don't know about us. And that's what you can do.
Yeah. And I'm so happy that I lived to see these days, because we had so many events this month for Transgender Awareness Month. And every time I started to find myself wanting to complain because, you know, it was so busy, I stopped. Wow. Because I remembered the days when there was really nothing for us. So at least now we are really, you know, by community, we're being, you know, accepted more.
And
we're
visible.
being, yes, we're visible. And the visibility is authentic. Right. It's not like the Jerry Springer stuff where we were like made a mockery of that sort of thing. This visibility is authentic, and that is so powerful.
I love that. I mean, if you show up anytime for the transgender community, today is the time to do it, you know? And again, I've been able to go to T-Door events in the last couple of years, and you cry. And they're real tears. And you feel the energies of these brothers and sisters and these non-conforming people that have lost their lives to hatred, to someone just not understanding our community and not wanting to learn about us, you know?
And I just got to mention this year, I can't remember her name, please forgive me, but a cisgendered woman was murdered because she looked trans and the person thought she was transgender. I remember that. So you see how this sort of thing can affect. I had to mention that.
No, thank you. Thank you for mentioning that. And what's the next story?
Yes, of course. Next, let's queer up religion. Group of transgender Italian women thank Pope for his message of inclusivity. The Sundown, is that right?
Rundown.
The Rundown. I want to say Sundown. The Sundown Beach town of Torvansnica. I butchered that. Please, Italians, don't write. I love you. Is about 35 kilometers, 20 miles south of the Vatican. But for transgender women who live there, it had seemed light years away until a rapprochement with the Catholic Church that began during the COVID-19 lockdown and led to an invitation to have lunch with Pope Francis. Recently, Claudia Victoria Salas, 55, and Carla Sogavia, 46, both Argentinian, were in a group of transgender people among about 1,200 poor and homeless people who attended the lunch of the Church's World Day of the Poor. To her surprise, Salas, a former sex worker, found herself seated opposite the Pope, who was also Argentinian, at the main table in the auditorium where the pontiff holds his general audience in winter. Carla Sogavia, 46, a sex worker, said that they feel a bit more human now as Pope Francis has made an effort to bring their community closer to the church. Recently, the Vatican's doctrinal office issued a statement saying transgender people can be godparents at Roman Catholic baptisms, witnesses at religious weddings, and receive baptism themselves. LGBTQ plus rights activists in the church welcomed the move, while conservatives condemned it, accusing Francis of sending confusing signals about sexual morality to the faithful. Well, this is big. This is big because we all know how strict the Catholic Church has been in regards to our community. So for the Pope to come out and pretty much give us his blessing and say that we can be included in religious ceremonies and baptism, that's huge for our community. It really is.
To be godparents, that's fantastic. You know, I mean, I'm married to a recovering Catholic, and you know, it's okay, right? You know, it's hard. You know, I love stained glass windows, and I love how churches smell. And there's something about that the smoke that they do, right?
Yeah.
You know, I love all that stuff, but I never allowed myself to really sit in one of those churches because I always felt, you know, you're gay, you're an abomination, you know, all these crappy things that they say at those sermons, and then. Fast forward, and I could just imagine these transgender women feeling all this, feeling what they've been told forever. They live in Italy, for God's sake, right? They live 20 miles from the Vatican, okay, the holy city. So to sit across from the Pope and have a meal, you know, to visually see him in eye range and feel that he doesn't hate me. You know, this guy is so beloved, and I know that he's just a man among men, but for whatever reason, he's held in that high regard. He's put on that pedestal, and we want him to see us too.
Yes.
You know, I grew up Catholic, and like, you know, many people in Latin America, so I'm part of the 99.9% of Latin Americans that are Catholic. And we were having a conversation about that yesterday, me and my friends, having breakfast yesterday. All four of us were Latinos. And, you know, we all have different sentiments about, you know, what we have been through. Yeah. And we're talking about exactly that. And I have to say something, even though I don't go to church anymore and I have issues against the Catholic Church, I do find Pope Francis to be somebody that is making an effort. Yes. And as the first Pope of Latin American descent, and as an Argentinian, I do give him credit for at least building a bridge to our community and to start the conversation.
I don't think that popes before even said the word transgender. I don't think that they even said that.
No. He's a progressive.
He is a
progressive.
He replaced Benedict. Benedict was the most backwards. I mean, rest in peace. But the most backwards of the popes. I mean, seriously.
Rest in peace bullshit. Okay, a lot of priests freaking hurt a lot of kids. So F you. I'm sorry. Roll over in your grave. I don't give a shit. I was never a Catholic, so don't care.
As a Catholic, I can't say that.
Again, but that's
I'll say it. I'm a Catholic.
but that's the brainwashing that they do to you.
They do.
Fear that even now you still like, I know you can't say that. The guy's dead.
I know. Yeah. I know. I feel bad about saying that, but I feel good about complimenting, Francis. For making an effort, and at least, especially about around the vast community of Catholics in Latin America. This is important. Argentina just elected a new president yesterday. A guy
Very
from
far
the
right.
very far right.
From the far right?
Yeah,
Very
so
scary.
you know,
Oh
very
my
much
God.
in the likes of Bolsonaro and Trump
Oh
and all
my
that. Very extreme.
God.
And even though I'm not crazy about, you know, the Peronistas there, but this guy is putting a lot of the rights of Argentinian LGBT community,
Yeah.
including the trans community, at risk because he already said it, and abortion and many
You know,
other
it's
issues.
like that tug of war. You know, it's like that backlash. Anytime like groups of people are having progression with their civil rights movement, and you know, I think people get scared, and so it's backlash, and I'm seeing it all around the world. You know, like just like you said in Argentina, I bet you before they were pretty progressive, but
the first country in Latin America that legalized same-sex marriage.
But most of the other countries in South America and Central America have left-leaning leaders.
Right,
So
but
it's
this
gonna be
is
a challenge with this new Argentinian president.
But this is completely to the other end.
But you know about the Pope, it's also in addition to being, you know, like an activist. Basically, he's an activist in this moment. What he's doing, but he's also of generation, which makes it a very interesting move for him. He's 84.
You're right.
It's a big deal.
Yeah.
Not just coming from a Catholic Pope, the pontiff, but also from someone who's in that generation.
Yeah, for sure.
He believes in modernity, right? So he believes this is modern time. So he's bringing the
looking to
Catholic
the
church
forward,
to the
to the
21st
future.
century.
and perhaps he's being more Christ-like.
Hello.
Oh, go figure.
Right? Yeah,
Finally
if you're
somebody
calling
is
yourself a Christian,
Right?
That's
right?
right.
Didn't Christ sit with all types of people?
Hello.
Yeah.
At least
Absolutely.
that's what I heard. That's what the stories of the Bible say.
I was there, and I can tell you.
You weren't.
So
All right.
we will now let's queer up technology. PornHub highlights Transgender Awareness Week with a special logo, change, and interviews. Transgender Awareness Week is observed every year from November 13th to November 19th. It is a week that celebrates freedom of sexual expression, inclusivity, and authenticity. This year's PornHub's very own brand ambassador, Natasha Dreams, was present to kick off the celebration. With a long list of intensive accomplishments within and outside the adult industry, she took the lead on model spotlights too. As a member of and advocate for Black transgender community, Natasha celebrated individuality and self-expression by sharing a deeply intimate connection with fans from around the globe. She talked about her career outside of porn and an opportunity to shoot next to Queen Bee. PornHub interviewed many other influential trans stars of the site, including Avid POV, Trip Richards, and Rachel Wells. The website also changed its logo in support of the trans community. This not only made the PornHub professionals feel included, but the trans and the LGBTQ plus community on Reddit also praised the decision. It is not the first time the site has stood by the community. This is great. Again, we're talking previously about this week and what it means to all of us and what it means to the global community. It's great to see a technology company step up and stand on raising awareness about trans rights and trans individuals and the struggles and plights.
I love how respectful that sounds, right? A tech company. I'm like, are we still talking about PornHub? Okay.
That's funny.
But, do you remember, I guess it was Pride Month, June, when everybody starts changing their logos, right? We can talk all the crap about commercialism and all that, but it warms my heart when it starts, you know, when you see a Target or something, put something like that. So for PornHub to be such a highly viewed, you know what I mean? That's where I still get all my free porn at. I refuse to pay for it, right? You know, for them to step up and go, okay, I know it's Trans Day of Remembrance, it's Trans Awareness Week, we're going to be a part of it, whatever you feel, you know? You should never be shamed for who you love, what turns you on, or what you like to watch on TV.
That's right.
And you know, the reality is, like many transgender women, we had to do survival sex work at some point. And I worked in the industry for a while in the fantasy lines when they were real popular in the 90s. And our second most popular line was the transsexual line, but it was like unspoken. It was like the second highest money maker for the line. So, you know, they're really just like, you know, being real about it.
Capitalizing.
They were capitalizing on us, but Pornhub is now acknowledging, like, okay, we support the community, which I think is a wonderful thing, because in porn, that's like a big,
it's a
big deal. It is, even though they didn't want to talk about it.
No, and and there's people who fetishize it, and there's people who just like trans porn, and that's totally all fine and good, So they are doing something good for us. But you're right, they're making buku bucks off us too. Yeah. So it's smart of them as an organization to say, okay, we're going to support. Now it's not hush hush anymore. Millions are millions, Rajee.
That's right.
Right. Not just support, but really put it out there.
Put it out there.
Making a bold statement.
Every year, the amount of money that people make on OnlyFans comes out, right? And transgender people are right up there, in the top 10th percentile, so and it's money, making it rain.
Yeah, even though they don't talk about it, because, the reality is a lot of heterosexual identifying men love us, but, they won't admit to it, and it's like that secret, that deep, dark secret type thing. So that's why I think it's not really, for a long time, it wasn't talked about, but it's, hey, listen, the money talks.
But it goes with visibility.
Bullshit walks. Hey!
It goes with visibility too. A lot of that, a lot trans people are getting, more visible in every way. I mean, I was just thinking of Grindr, for example. Nowadays, it's very common to see transgender and people looking for transgender.
Be much more open about it.
It's normalized. Before it wasn't like that.
I didn't.
It was from the download.
I'm going to put all my business out there. But I was away like about a year and a half ago, and I never had a Grindr account. But everyone was like talking about like the night before, and I'm at breakfast at the hotel. What were you? How did you guys hook up? They're like, Rajee, you don't have Grindr? And I was like, no. And they're like, bitch, you better get Grindr. I'm like, but I thought it was for gay.
Did you get it?
I did.
Yeah.
And let me tell you, I was surprised the amount of men because I really thought it was just a gay site, for gay hookups.
We're never going to take Rajee off her Grindr now. Rajee, you got to tell the story. 100 feet away, I got to go. Dino, you're up.
All right, let's square up entertainment. Powerful short animated film tells of grandfather accepting his trans grandson.
Becca! There's my girl.
It's Cody, remember?
Oh. Right.
Time for that new ticker, Mr. Jackson.
With Abuela, how did you know it was love?
The rhythm of my heart. The rhythm of my heart. The rhythm of my heart. Yeah. Can you hear it beating? I can hear it. Can you feel it? I can feel the rhythm of my heart.
A short animated musical, Pacemaker, with a trans-positive message is now available on YouTube and Vimeo. The film's release coincided with Transgender Awareness Week. Pacemaker has already picked up awards when it hit the LGBTQ+ film festival circuit earlier this year. However, it's now available for everyone to watch online for free. It features Alex Newell, who earlier this year became the first non-binary performer to win an Tony Award for acting, and Grammy-winning singer and actor Philip Lawrence. Pacemaker centers on a grandfather who's awaiting a procedure to get a pacemaker. Cody is their trans grandson, although the older man is still calling them by their old name. Cody visits his grandpa wanting some advice about love. Grandpa is horrified to discover that Cody has a crush on a girl. However, he remembers back to how he met the woman he later settled with and how some people didn't approve of the relationship. He concedes that one must follow the rhythm of one's heart, even if others disapprove or struggle to understand. Composer Christopher Leonard has written the original song featured in the story and the screenplay. He says he was inspired by his own trans son. This is so cute.
It is.
You watch it. It's so cute. And it's so current, and it's so, it touches on so many different things.
so adorable.
So adorable.
Yeah, it really is. And you know, for me, it resonates because my mom still, like, sometimes slips and says he. And you know, listen, my mom, if anyone's going to get a pass, she's going to get a pass, okay? You know, that's just how I look at it. But funny story, I was out to dinner when she came down once on vacation, and it was her and my aunt, and we went to a restaurant. So my aunt, the waiter was like taking the order, and she kept referring to me as he. And the waiter is correcting her and like, oh, she? And it was so, I was cracking up inside because I'm like, the waiter is like, there is no he at this table, you know? And so, you know, I just told my mom, I said, Mom, listen, I don't mind, but like if we're at a restaurant or like really in public, like, just kind of like try and remember, you know, but like around close family and friends, I don't mind. You know?
Oh, but that's super. I mean, you know, I wish somebody would show my mom this video. You know, I think that the animation makes it a little easier to swallow. For people that can't, you know, even for kids or for adults, you know, I wish that my mom came to visit me. She refuses to come down here. She thinks I work at a gay church and I do gay news.
We do.
And she doesn't think that should be legit, that we should have a gay church or that I should be allowed.
She forgets about being like Jesus, right?
You know, she forgets about being like Jesus, you know? So a little video like this could help. And, you know, and like Dino said, it goes so much with the times, you know? Marlon Wayans just announced, you know, last week that his son is trans, you know? And on the heels of, you know, Dwayne Wade, who has always supported his trans child, you know, and others. I mean, we're not new, folks.
No, we're not. And
we're not new.
Faye, the difference is this shows the advancements that we've made because more people are feeling comfortable to come out. But trans people have always been here. It's just they weren't comfortable.
And, I was just at home in North Carolina for a wedding with my niece, and
She's so big, by the way. Oh my God. Anyway,
No, not that niece, a different niece.
Oh, okay, but still big.
I was like.
big.
I was waiting, And she just got married. This is the niece who got married.
You're not big. You're not big.
You're not big. You're not big. You look beautiful in that dress. That's all I meant. Oh my God.
Even in very far right leaning, my hometown, far right leaning, there are at least 3 trans people in my family.
That's amazing.
And it's accepted. I mean, it's just accepted. So it's an amazing thing. Just tying into this short film, but also can we talk about the music in the film? This has the makings of a Broadway show all over it.
It does.
Right?
Is it Newell or Newell? Okay, they are incredible.
Yeah.
Okay, they are incredible. The voice, everything. It's just, and the music would be another way to touch. You're always talking about how music connects people, and now you can talk to somebody with music that maybe hate each other, that they can find a common line when it comes to music. That's the crazy shit that Dale talks about all the time, you know? But it's true.
Universal language,
We trans people are in animation. Yay!
Blowing up?
All right. Well, next, let's clear up South Florida and Florida. The final Smart Ride ends with a record for 20th anniversary. The 20th anniversary and final Smart Ride took place this week. The 165-mile ride began Friday from the University of Miami, and the 2-day bike ride traveled the Florida Keys to Key West and finished at mile marker 0. Just 90 miles from Cuba, and ended in an emotional high point. Smart Ride 2023 concludes with nearly $1.3 million raised and total results of more than $16 million for HIV/AIDS services. Even more impressive is when you consider that the fundraiser for 6 legendary LGBTQ+ beneficiaries in South Florida, Tampa, and Orlando earned 100% of all money raised. You heard that right. No money donated by supporters to Smart Ride goes to expenses. Any expenses are supported by sponsors that make Smart Ride the mammoth success it has become. Sponsors like Community AIDS Network, to major media sponsorship from Hotspots Magazine, Happening Out Television Network. Our reporter on site, Al Ferguson, conducted more than 50 interviews during the 2-day ride that stopped overnight at the famous Hawks Cay Resort in the heart of the Florida Keys. So many riders, sponsors, crew, and volunteer supporters reflected on the history of the 20th anniversary ride. In the coming weeks, you will see a variety of special reports. Smart Ride's executive director, Glenn Weinzimmer, emotionally described the early days of Smart Ride and the history of the final days of the closing ceremonies in Key West. You can donate to Smart Ride until December 31st, and the formal check presentation will take place in January. Go to thesmartride.org. Wow, what a ride it has been. I mean, I've never done the ride myself, but I, as most of us at this table, have so many friends who've done it. And people that surprise me often, I'll think, like, bitch, I didn't know you ever got on a bike. People that really have became motivated to do this ride, to become fit enough to do the ride because of what the ride is and what it represents and what it gives to the community. 100% is unheard of. It's incredible.
It is.
And props and kudos, mazel tov to Glenn Weinzimmer.
Yes.
He is amazing.
You know, Glenn Weinzimmer is an incredible human being, and I'm not saying that just because he's a friend. I love him, and I thought this of him before he became friends. You know, and you know how it started. Okay, Glenn was given 6 months to live. That was standard. If you had HIV or AIDS, you weren't going to be around for more than 6 months. And here he is 20 plus odd years later, you know, and that was how the Smart Ride was founded. That's how it was started. And in 20 years, they've raised so much money. This was my first Smart Ride. It was Ed's also first Smart Ride, you know, and what a way to finish, you know. All kinds of sizes of people, all kinds of colors of people, all kinds of religions of people. They weren't just gay people riding. They weren't just trans people riding. They were everything. You could check off every single box. There was a 14-year-old. There was an 82-year-old.
Wow.
Okay?
Amazing.
When I saw the 67-year-old that I had a conversation with get back on her bike, fan herself off, pat herself off, and then go back off, Hawks K, I was like, wow, I do nothing, right? I was like, oh my God.
I gotta get back in the car.
And you're skinny.
You know, and I'm skinny. And then I got back in the car and then drove on to the next one, you know?
Go to the car.
And then I look sweaty and everything, like if I had ridden, you know? So
You spritz before you go.
I was part of, thank you, Sunserve and Tony Lima, for allowing me to be part of their emotional support cheer squad. That is what they called them. And at each rest stop, the therapists were there to talk to anybody. Maybe something came up during the ride. People were riding for people they lost. People were riding for people that they had once ridden the ride with. People were riding for themselves. People were riding for all kinds of different reasons. And so there were therapists on hand. You know, I'm not a therapist. All I can do is maybe scream at you and fan you with my fan. So I had blisters all over my hands by the end of the 2 days. But there was nowhere else I'd rather be than there. It was just so beautiful. The closing ceremony was on the pier right next to the AIDS memorial. There was not a dry eye in the place. Like, everybody was weeping. Glenn, you should be super proud of your 20 years. You are an incredible human. The Smart Ride will live on. I know it will live on, just like Ed was saying, which I know that you'll probably say something about that in your comments. But Smart Ride 20, bless you. I'm so blessed to have been a part of it.
Yeah, I mean, I have chills right now for everything that you just said, Faye. No, to be honest with you, it was such an emotional journey and an experience. And what I loved about the Smart Ride, it brought so many people together, as you identified. So many people together, no matter who you are, no matter your ability. Like, talk about people with abilities. We had people who were disabled, you know, who were there on a ride and who kept on going and said, nope, I'm going to stop for a minute. I'm going to see Tony Lima's people at Sunsurf, and I'm going to keep going, you know? It honestly was really, really amazing ride. And it means so much for the 6 entities that are beneficiaries that will get the resources to support the work that we're doing. The work of HIV and AIDS and STI is not done. We're far from done. I know
Especially in Florida.
Well, especially in Florida. You know, at Pride Lines, just today I was in our office and I gave our team off because they all worked really hard, but I had probably about 20 calls today for people who want, you know, tests, you know, because they're afraid. They want to know their status. And so this journey is far from over. And this is why the 6 benefiting agencies will work with other partners in the community. We'll bring more people on. But we are committed to doing something because the fight is still here. We're still fighting. People are still dying. And you know what's scary for me? I'm a Afro-Latino, but what's scary for me is the statistic that the number one population that's impacted by this is Black women. And guess what? These are the same women who have saved us in election year after election year after election year. Who have saved us LGBTQ plus AI community, all right? So this is a fight that we must continue to take on. Again, great to the scientists for making PrEP and PEP and all these things, but we still have a long way to go. And so that's why we'll continue this ride.
I think that people have gotten a little nonchalant about it because the medicines are so good now. But I was there in the horror days, and people were dropping like flies. And so I don't forget that at all. And, you know, like you were saying, you said that, you know, there's still a long way to go. It's true. It's true. And people forget, especially like the younger generation that didn't see.
They didn't see the horror.
They didn't see it. I call those days literally the horror days. You would see someone and they'd be fine. line, 3 months later, they'd have the look. And anyone that was there, you knew what that look was. Face sucked in, and you're like, oh, Lord, they have it. And it was pretty much a death sentence.
I know Glenn Weinzimmer for such a long time, and he's back to those days. And I'm so proud of him that he, in that moment when he was given just 6 months to live, he created something as spectacular as the Smart Ride, and he carried on with this project for 20 years and benefited so many people when many other AIDS rides around the country were disappearing. Yeah. And he carried on with this. And like you said, all these new treatments and all this thing, look at his life now. He's still here all these years later, doing fantastic, in good health. Yeah. And he's carrying this mission, and I hope somebody else carried on.
We will carry it on. And what this did for me, personally, is I had a cousin who in 2007 died. The family didn't talk about it, right? It was one of those, he was in the closet, hush hush. Yeah. He had cancer. He had cancer. But we knew Cousin Mark was the life of every party. Mm-hmm. Cousin Mark was the dancer. Yeah. He was the one that was really bold. He had the best fashion ever. Yeah. Cousin Mark was the man. He was the fucking man. Yeah. And, he succumbed. He died in 2007. And this ride, brought up the memories of my cousin, who I adored, I loved. I was back in the closet. I was still young in 2007. I was a baby. But, I adored Mark. And it really brought up the memories of Mark. And I am committed, and Pride Lines is committed to continuing something. I will work my hardest. And I'm definitely going to do it in the memory of all of those, and but particularly
with the new vision. The new vision.
For sure. I love that. Thank you for sharing that with
beautiful.
You are Uncle Mark's, Cousin Mark's legacy. You are, and we all had a Cousin Mark. You know what I mean? I had a Guillermo. He just disappeared. He just disappeared one day. I was like, what happened to my uncle Guillermo?
Ronald Eric Allen.
You see? I asked 10 gay boys at Smart Ride if they use condoms, and they all 10 said no. Okay, and that wasn't, and and I could ask 20 more, and I would get the same answer. All right, it's scary times, folks. So know your status. How about that? I'll end this segment with just saying that. Get tested. Go to a place like Pride Lines that offers that. Get tested and know your status. Okay, it is not a death sentence anymore, but you should be responsible and know where you're at. Right? Right. So, folks, did you know that four of the cities in Greater Fort Lauderdale area have perfect scores on the HRC Municipality Equality Index? Fort Lauderdale, 1, Hollywood, 2, Oakland Park, 3, and Wilton Manors. All feature welcoming environments for everyone in the LGBTQ plus community. You can find all the great things to do in these communities as well as resources if you need help at visitlauderdale.com/LGBTQ. Visit Lauderdale, everyone under the sun.
Next, we are proud of our special partnership with Sunshine Cathedral, the world's largest queer church here in Fort Lauderdale. Supporting that partnership, we are broadcasting from our permanent set here at Sunshine Cathedral at the Happening Out television studios. We broadcast Sunshine Cathedral's Sunday International Service at 10:30 a.m.
That is today's news of the LGBTQ plus community on the world's first and only daily LGBTQ plus evening news show.
If our community is important to you, share this news with your friends and family. Are you, like most of the America, part of our very large television audience watching this live LGBTQ plus news broadcast right now on Roku, Apple TV, Android TV, and Amazon Fire TV?
Queer News Tonight is the only live LGBTQ plus digital television show in the world that is out of the closet and into the headlines. We need your support. If our community is to grow, we must tell our stories and bring them to the attention of the broader world.
This is the only place in the world that tells these types of LGBTQ plus stories in motion and sound. That is the passion of Hotspots Magazine, Happening Out Television Network, and Queer News Tonight.
I'm your anchor, Fay What? And on behalf of these LGBTQ plus reporters, the anchors of Queer News Tonight, including Dr. Edward Summers, Rajee Narine-Singh, Dino Mosquera, and Dale Stine. We will see you daily at 8 p.m. To our LGBTQ plus world, we wish you good night.
Buenas noches.
We are Queer News Tonight, the world's first and only live daily LGBTQ plus evening news show, brought to you from Happening Out Television Network. We operate in the same model of PBS and NPR, but for the LGBTQ plus community. We educate, inform, and entertain by supporting the 10 pillars of our LGBTQ plus community, with more than 100,000 a week watching us on Roku, Apple Television, and other channels. To keep the story going, we accept donations with 100% transparency. Stay updated and live authentically with Queer News Tonight.